Did you feel that?
What?
Like there was a shake and it even made the. Oh,
probably me.
it scared the fuck out of me. I was like, is this tremor? What's going on here? Florida doesn't have earthquakes.
You know what else is scary?
Sunday. Come on down and listen to the best podcast you ever heard. You got two guys, Randall Colmeyer, Sean Bruger, talking about albums. Why? Who cares?
I thought we were doing Wednesday.
Don't be a dick. Sunday, Wednesday. Who gives a shit? Fire, explosions. Fuck your mom. No one cares.
Oh, wow. So, that's how we're doing it, huh? What's that?
Sometimes you need to not be a pussy and take on things in the world.
Taking on things. What are we taking on, Sean?
We're taking on 3 albums this week. 3 albums.
But we're only doing 2 albums in an interview.
So Wednesday, come out to hear the best podcast you've ever heard. Probably not, but who cares? It's something to listen to. And you're lonely.
Yeah, because you probably won't hear this until like Friday or Saturday.
And when you're out of good things to listen to, the only thing you can listen to is a podcast by 2 assholes living in a studio.
So what's today?
That's right.
We got a pretty interesting week. We're changing it up. See, what we usually do is we have 3 albums. That's all we talk about. But this week we got an interview. I am personally excited. If we go back to Start Trouble, 2003, this album came out. Every solution has its problems.
Very high school based lyrics, it's all about like sex and
it's
like
toilet humor.
Yeah, toilet humor. There's like the song Graduation.
That one I really liked. I thought that was the more serious song.
I think that was like their hit, wasn't it? Like the only song.
No, I would say Chemical was.
Chemical, really? Yeah.
Chemical was used in this,
that was very
this video game, Playboy the Mansion, the game. And honestly, that's how.
Is that like The Sims but Playboy?
Yeah.
Hugh Hefner, congratulations on winning Playboy the Mansion. You're one of the few who can truly say they've walked a mile in my shoes. If I could live my dreams.
I figure. I mean, what else could it be, right?
When I remember sitting at my like giant ass monitor and computer back in like 2003 in like my room and like clicking around. I saw the preview for that game, and at that time I was just trying to find anything pop punk. I was so into the sound, and I heard that song, and I was like, oh cool, I'll look them up. And in 2000, you think it's hard now to find information on Start Trouble. In 2003, when the world was just getting past the Stone Age of the internet, you when I go and I look up Start Trouble now, it's not a lot easier. I did find a little more information, but it's all
more reviews on the album and stuff.
It's all anecdotal. I find a lot of no articles on these guys, but a whole lot of oh man, I was in that video. But they still have a huge following in Jacksonville. There's people out there that still care. That's where they're from.
They're from Jacksonville?
Jacksonville, Florida, yeah.
Get out of town!
And that's where they came from, man.
They're still doing stuff?
Now, they got the one guy, Finn Lavelle. And he was in the band. He plays with a band called the Summer Obsession now.
Oh, okay.
He's the only one I could find doing anything.
Oh, true.
These guys were not well received in the first place, and I think that's a tragedy.
I agree, because honestly, especially when I heard the album, I was like a junior in high school, you know what I mean? So it was good for that age group, that's who this is directed at, you know what I mean?
It's amazing the standards that were held at that time for something like this, because I would want to quit playing music if I did this much work. This is their first.
Shit on so hard.
Yeah, this is their first album. This is it.
Yeah.
That's all they had was this album.
Yeah, I liked it. I loved it. Yeah.
And it's perfectly timed. The instruments sound great. The vocals are right on. There's not a single mixing, mastering issue I can find. All the songs are original and catchy.
And they're funny.
And they're fun and funny. Yeah. And, you got this allmusic.com. It's the only place I could find a solid review of the album.
And it was most hated on review of the whole album.
So, you gotta realize this was probably written back in the day. 2003 or so.
Oh, okay.
So, your credentials for reviewing things online probably weren't too scrutinized. But yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. This guy, whoever you are who reviewed this for AllMusic, you're a dick. Like, everything you say.
Johnny Loftus or something like
I think at this time, pop punk was kind of a huge thing, and he was probably just one of those people that were like so sick of hearing it that he just was like, just shut it off completely.
Yeah, dude, this dude was just
He's
brutalized.
brutal.
Like, basically, it was like, oh, Blink-182 and the Bloodhound Gang carry on the towel-shaping legacy.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. His whole review is based on other bands, and I think that's such a travesty with reviewers. Like, sometimes I do a thing where I say, this sounds like a mix of this and that. But I feel like everyone just needs to categorize things when you read reviews like this, because immediately he goes into the whole Blink-182 comparison. He mentions it multiple times in here. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, so if you make pop punk, that's all you'll ever be is a thing that wasn't Blink-182 in some people's eyes. Again, this was 2003, so different times. But moving on from that asshole.
Yo, you know what I always really liked was Psychotic for You. I had like a stupid fucking dance for it, but like it's the most poppy one also.
My head is split
into.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, like, that was my favorite. Other than, of course, Let's Get Fucked Up, which should have been like my high school class song, I swear.
There's very few albums I can listen to all the way through, from beginning to end, and not like change the track here and there.
Yeah.
This has always been one of those albums. It is solid from beginning to end. It is
For real.
And it's very well done. My favorite, I think, after Chemical, I would say Changes was a big one.
Changes
I really
was
liked.
awesome. I like the Let's Go at the bridge.
And we talk about songs that are popular on this album. I say if you're going to say the truly popular song by definition is, of course, Let's Get Fucked Up. It's the song some people know, but no one knows who did it.
Yeah,
it's been in the background of every frat party since like 2003 at some point or other. They did a video for Nonstop.
Yep, Nonstop. That's a good one. That one's funny. Why was she only wearing a G-string at the Y?
Dude, it's the...
You have to wear clothes at the Y, right?
If you watch this video, everyone's dressed... They are the epitome of my high school years and how I dressed. Like, everyone in there is like...
Yeah.
Like, the same 4 brands.
Yeah.
And jeans and blonde... frosted hair.
Yeah, gotta love the blonde frosted hair.
Oh man, that lead singer, dude, I love his voice, man. I really think he's not playing it as safe, and that's why I think I hate so much when they're compared to like pop punk bands of the time. It's because I felt like they tried harder than most and got completely just disowned for it. And the same thing with the next band. I guess we can go ahead and turn to. Kind of had the same damn problem.
Yeah.
And that was Cut You Up.
I feel like they got robbed.
Yeah.
They could have been so much bigger.
Yeah, Cut You Up.
That tour with Blink and Green Day fucked them up.
Dude, Cut You Up. So they had this one damn album.
Yep.
First. Now they have another one now. It came out like 10 years later. In
2012 or 2013, yeah.
And it's called, but the first album, long ass name, Pulled Over, Your Eyes Are Telling Me Different, Son. Long name. It came out in 2003. It's 19 tracks. And it's, I think so, from what I understand. And
yeah, it's small.
Yeah. And it's their only album until 2013. So there was this rumor for a long time that they were broken up. And you get an interview with like the singer, and he's like, "No, we're just busy."
Oh, really? That's all it was. No, I thought they broke up.
They've been playing the whole time. Apparently,
they're just busy.
They have a couple of clubs in the California area. They constantly play, like just all the time.
Cool, dude. Hey, man, if they're happy, that's cool. I thought they were done.
A few episodes back, we talked about Cut You Up DVD, and I just found out some more information on it today. It was filmed right after they released that album. Like, it's around the same time period.
Oh,
it was almost like Blink and Green Day said, "Hey, you want to do this DVD? You kind of need an album." And they went, "Okay," and like went to the studio and made it. You know? But it's a really good album. So like not saying they did it in a rush. They did a really good job.
It's excellent.
But I went to Blink-182's online forum. Things got to be ancient, and they talk about everyone in there's talking about how, oh no, Cut You Up wasn't a real band.
It wasn't real. It just didn't exist.
It didn't. I was like, okay. And I keep reading, and people are saying how, like, think about it, man. And by the way, anytime someone says think about it, man, I shut you off.
Yeah.
It's such a conspiracy theory thing.
Fuck
Just
you,
think
asshole.
about it. He's like, yeah, think about it, man. Only album they had when the DVD comes out, they disappear right after. They act like ridiculous versions of what you expect pop punkers to act like in the DVD. There's an actual conspiracy theory that this band was created to make a DVD about the pop punk disaster tour and that they didn't fucking ever exist, which is clearly untrue. A simple 10-minute search on Google shows you they've been active even recently. He's been doing interviews since the beginning.
That's hilarious.
It's stupid. I think people have an easy time believing that because if you've never experienced the band life around that time, especially how crazy everyone was, you would think it sounds like a bunch of bullshit and that people don't really act this way. Just crazy time. And the Cut You Up DVD is such a good, like a time capsule.
Yeah.
Like some people really believed it was like a mockumentary. Like, I guess, like,
Really?
what's that? Like, this is basically a Spinal Tap movie to some people. And I'm like, no, dude, not at all. S&N Dims is the opening track.
Yeah, that was my favorite one.
It is. It's my favorite.
It was also the first one I've heard, too.
That's probably why, yeah. No, that's always the one that I know the best. And, but, you know, like, listening through this album, it doesn't, the tone doesn't change. It stays very kind of, I don't know, I'd call it like a dirty punk sound to it.
Yeah.
In the way that the singer, he's singing on key, but he's kind of grungy screaming it.
Yeah.
And it works. He's got a very original voice.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And his lyrics, I really do. I really like the lyrics to S&M Dims, or the one that comes after that. I thought we were punk rock. Wainwright.
Oh, Wainwright. Yeah. That's a dope one, too.
Yeah. When they were asked about the DVD, they said, do you have any regrets about all that? And he's like, I think the party life made great video footage.
Yeah.
But it was terrible for work ethic. He's like, you're becoming famous because of your visual appeal, which was very big at the time. They partied so much, they got known as the party band, and then they disappeared so quickly, everyone just assumed they never existed in the first place.
Yeah, that's fucking ridiculous, though.
What an exhausting life. And they have kids now.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, no, my kids have not seen it. They're 9 years old or some shit.
Yeah,
it's like, when they're 15, maybe.
When their kids find the Cut You Up DVD, they got some splaining to do.
That's the thing about this. Nowadays, you have everyone being recorded all the time.
Yeah.
I like to point out the fact that when the Cut You Up DVD came out, it was a precursor to what you have now with Instagram and stuff, where you would live vicariously through people you saw, like in the Blink-182 DVDs, the Green Day DVDs, and everyone, punk bands were doing that at the time, and it was so smart.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you have Instagram, and people are hungry for that stuff all the time.
Oh, yeah. It was before that there was, like...
It was
like
the
Instagram
original
and
version
YouTube.
of it, almost, you know?
It was their way of doing it, and they made money off of it too.
They did. Oh man, I hope they get paid royalties off it, because they got a raw end of the deal on that. You know, the whole time they're in this van, they're broke, they have no money, and they're being treated like shit by, you know, two of the biggest bands in the world at the time, and they're trying to make them happy. They have the cameras rolling. I don't think these guys had any idea what they were in for when they signed up to do this tour.
Who knows? I mean, I wouldn't have expected anything like that, but...
No, who would, man?
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do.
I mean, 4 guys in a van following around 2 giant
Superstars.
RVs.
Well, no, don't forget, what's their faces were on that tour too, weren't they?
Jimmy Eat World. And then not being able to afford even the lightest bit of equipment. You know, their PA breaks, they're on stage smoking, and they're like, shit, we need a new one. So inside you have this insane big show going on and all these speakers and like at a real sound check. And then you have like Cut You Up, who can't even keep their little, you know, like 100-watt PA alive.
Bummer, dude.
It's yeah. Guess on to the interview with Kyle, right?
Yeah. Go ahead, call him up, dude.
Beep boop boop beep boop boop boop. Ring.
Yeah.
Ring.
Ring.
Oh, he ain't answering.
Ring.
Ah, he's such a dick.
Hello.
Hey, dude, do you hear us?
Yo.
Yes, I do.
Holy shit!
Sweet, it works.
Actually did it.
Yes.
Trying to set this up was just crazy.
Oh man.
Oh man, how's New York going, man? I haven't seen you in years. How's that life?
I know. New York is pretty good, actually. Done a lot of films. I just did an off-Broadway play, which is really cool. I'm going back down to Atlanta in a few months, like for at least the long-term future. I don't know how long, but I'm doing a feature film down there.
That's great.
And I used to live there and have a lot of friends there, so it's just a good time to stick around.
Atlanta's the place you go to for that kind of stuff now, man. Acting.
Yeah, exactly.
Tax cuts they get on, for extras and stuff. The tax cuts they get there are just insane. They've been filming Walking Dead there for years and stuff. Yeah.
Oh shit,
That's true.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
That's why I want to go back. I want to start my film production company, and it'd actually be more affordable to start it in Atlanta than it would be in New York for a film production.
Yeah, your production company, Porterhouse, man.
Porterhouse, love the name, bro.
Man, so, like we find the name, and I'm like, it's like Bloomhouse, but Porterhouse, and I'm like, this is fucking great, man. That's a great name, man. I love it. I dig it.
It works.
It does.
Yeah,
it's silly, but you know, it's fucking funny, and I love it, dude.
I mean,
But it's also me.
Yeah.
So I feel like it totally sums that up.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I was so I checked out your Kickstarter, whatever. Man, I was like, surprised you're a third of the way there to your goal already.
Yeah, we're a third of the way through, and we're a third of the way paid. So I mean, it's coming together. I've got some other things happening in the next few weeks that I'm going to try to keep boosting it. Some more interviews and some magazine articles.
Yeah.
Coming out this week too, which is exciting.
Oh, really? What's the magazine? What's that? So we can put that information up.
It's called Audacity. It's an online magazine. Yeah, and it's run out of Atlanta.
Online magazine. That's coming out this week.
Yeah, coming out Monday, tomorrow.
Sweet.
Oh, nice.
All right. Yeah. Well. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So what's that article about anyway? They just interviewed you about the project and stuff, kind of like we're doing, or?
Yeah, pretty much. It's their millennial spotlight. They do one every at the beginning of the month, and even though I'm not a huge fan of the term, I do fit the category, so I might as well own it.
Yeah.
Word.
Yeah, and then it's not much more millennial than being a writer, actor, director in Brooklyn. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna own it.
Oh no, you fit the quintessential like if a boomer imagines a millennial. That's what they.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and they tell me that constantly here too. They love to tell me that to my face.
Yeah, you're pretty millennial. Thank you.
I know. It doesn't help too that I look like I'm like a 14-year-old lesbian. Like I'm just so young and blonde.
Yeah, young blonde, New York, Hollywood, one. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
So we were going over the the synopsis and stuff, because originally we heard the title, and I go to Randall and I said the name of it to him, and I butchered the name when I first said it, of course, the Second Coming of Sekhmet, and then I heard your video and I heard you say it, and I'm like, what did he say? And you messed it up the first time in that video.
I did.
And you made a joke out of it, and then you said it right, and I was like, okay. I'm like, I wrote down how to actually pronounce it so I wouldn't screw that up again. But and I was like, what the heck? I originally was imagining okay, this must be like some horror movie where something from Egypt comes back to life. I don't know, that's what I was going with. And then I see this cat. What is with this cat, man? What is with this cat in this film?
The cat is Sekhmet. The main character has named his cat Sekhmet after an Egyptian goddess because they were cats and they worshipped them, in Egypt. And it kind of all ties together with the title and the cat and the character. He's losing his mind after his divorce, so he kind of has this mental breakdown, and he starts believing that his cat might actually be an Egyptian goddess. He's like, maybe I get why the Egyptians were so into these things. And then the Egyptian goddess starts telling him to get vengeance and war on his ex-wife, basically.
Wow. Oh man, so it's kind of like a dark thriller kind of idea you're going for? Suspense?
It is. I'm billing it as a dark comedic thriller. There's a lot of dark thrillers, there's a lot of dark comedies, but I really want to push them together. So you got some really suspenseful horror-like moments in it, and then because it's me, there's also a lot of actually really funny moments that come from these really rich characters.
Yeah.
And then a lot of it, honestly, I don't want to give too much away, but a lot of it is
of course
just seeing it from inside of somebody like this's brain. So through the entire story, you're like, whoa, wait, what? What? Hold up.
Okay.
And then at the end, it does explain it. I'm not just leaving like a.
Good,
You're not just gonna leave us hanging at the end like a real
No,
article?
it is a.
Explain all the little side stories and stuff.
It is a full, complete story. Everything ties together. This is just my concept film so that I can show like the kind of stories that I want to tell for future like festivals and future feature films.
Well, I'm a huge fan of dark comedy, and it's so hard to get right when people do it. Like Fargo was a dark comedy way back in the day, and it was people were confused
Yes.
when it came out because they like, is this a comedy? Is it serious? People had a hard time, but I think audiences can actually deal with that better nowadays, and I think your idea is actually really cool. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Completely original and written in a time where I was really going through it kind of with this character. Actually, my life imitates
to your
art.
cat?
Yeah, I was gonna
Kyle, were you
say.
talking to your cat?
I was talking
What's
to
your
my
cat
cat.
trying to do, bro?
Hey, Kyle, you should kill some people. You know what? I think I'm just gonna write a movie instead. But thanks. Thanks.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? That's a
Excellent advice, but I got a better idea.
great idea. And the cat was like, "Oh, you're gonna do it?" And I was like, "No, I'm just gonna write about what you said. I'm just gonna make fun of you now, cat. Haha, bitch."
That cat's gonna be sitting there when this movie comes out. It's gonna win all these awards. Cat's just gonna be sitting there smoking a cigarette. Like, this is all my idea.
Right,
This dude just
right.
stole all.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Well, I had to give her credit. She's in it, so I had to put her in it. She's actually like perfect for film. I have two cats, and the other one, if you turn on a camera, she runs and hides like she's like an aborigine. She thinks we're gonna steal her soul.
So you got one photogenic cat.
Yeah.
Notorious for not cooperating on set too.
Oh yeah, no animals.
Yeah.
Freaking general, dude. Game of Thrones, they had
They
that
say
cat on there, and they said like Mark missed Sir Pounce or whatever. They said that was the hardest thing they ever filmed in Game of Thrones. Not the crazy fights.
Oh, yeah.
The running all over the place. Just getting a cat to do what you wanted to do.
it really is. I've actually trained her. I call them my puppy cats because I have trained them to like sit in places that I know I want to film them in with treats and stuff. But they're really good. They were strays too. This one was a stray. Came to me as like a little kitten and just was like, "Whatever you want, dude, I'll do it."
I don't have a home, man. Like,
She was from the streets of Atlanta. She had a hard life.
Oh, jeez.
wow.
That cat's
From
not
the streets.
That cat knows what's up.
It's like, cat's like, give me your money. It's like, I'll give you a home and some food. It's like, all right, that'll work. Yeah,
Yes, I'll still take your money just in small increments over time.
over time. You still have to buy a lot of cat food. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you got this Mike Mass guy we were talking about.
Yes.
Man, I really like his style. Like
Yeah.
some of it, like this. So you have this first track. It's very. It was on the. There was very Wu-Tang. I think it was called Cyrus the Great, and that was really.
Oh yeah.
And
That's great.
I was originally like I said, I was nervous, and then I heard that, and then I kept going through the list. And he's not a one-trick pony. He's
No.
got this
No.
sound, and then the next song, All in All, which has like a very
Old school Kanye.
Kanye from college, maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, type.
Yeah. Did you get to one of my favorites from his, which made me reach out to him for this project because we'd stayed in touch, but we hadn't worked together in maybe 4 years.
Oh wow.
But there's a song, Do That, it's like do that, and it's just got this. It's got this like old school, almost funk beat to it, and I like it when he raps over that. So I brought that to him because in the Second Coming of Sekhmet, there is actually a weird moment where he kind of there's a dance number. So
Yes!
I'm sold.
Yes! Oh, great.
Go
dude.
on.
Yes,
there's a dance number, and since I play Charlie and I know how to I have experience with dance, so we're gonna do a really weird dance number to kind of show that he snapped instead of just saying it.
That's a good way.
So it's going to be really interesting, but I wanted to reach out because I wanted to have an original song for it that really fit. So I sent the script to Mike Mass. Like my first draft, and he messaged me back almost immediately and was like, "Hey, dude, I am in love with this script." He went off on this whole thing. He's like, "This speaks to me in a way that it does to a lot of artists." Like, he was going through some mental problems because this film really does touch and tackle on a lot of like mental issues and mental health problems and how they're not being they're not being paid attention to by our country at all.
Absolutely.
So it kind of touches on that, and he found that really struck a chord with him. So he wrote me 5 songs, which is, more than the length of my movie. So, so he wrote me an original score, and the song that he did for, and it's a lot of like beats and stuff, but it's got that same like funky hip hop, but old school like 70s funk hip hop vibe to it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it just fits the tone perfectly. It actually makes the tone more than like any other part of my film, I think.
Yeah, I was actually surprised because I got I'm learning these concepts one at a time. Like, all right, there's this movie, now I know what the movie's about, and then you're like, oh yeah, I got this hip hop artist. He's gonna do my soundtrack. So I think that's actually that's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate it. I definitely wanted to do something different with this film, like in every aspect. The way that we're gonna shoot it, the soundscape, the colorings. I wanted to do something not only to challenge me, but just to really push what you can do.
Are you going for like a guerrilla style filming? Or are you going to be stabilizing it? Like, what are we doing?
So for filming itself, the actual shooting, I found a really great cinematographer, Wiley Rush. He's here in New York, and he does some really incredible work. But he actually studied Egyptian gods in college a little bit. So he saw my film or like the script, and he was like, "Oh man, I got to be on board." But we were really on the same page when we met. He's got this. We want to approach it kind of handheld, not too shaky. Maybe some Steadicam in there, but. Want to give the feel that you are, when you're watching it, that you, the audience, are trapped in this tiny apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah, give a real claustrophobic feel. The main character is agoraphobic. He never leaves, so you want to feel like, I want the audience to feel like they're trapped in here with him. So it's almost like, it gives, the way we're going to shoot it and the way that he's talked about how he wants to shoot it with a lot of these different angles and with a lot of we're going to use some like neon lighting. It's really going to set you on edge to make you as an audience feel uncomfortable in this space.
Yeah.
Like right from the start. But you're supposed to.
Yeah. So what inspired you to like even come up? Like, when did you say, hey, I think I'm going to make a movie? Like, this is like, when did that happen, man? Because I know you did. I remember reading last year you did a play.
Okay, so it's been a while since you and I have talked, Sean. So
I know.
I did a lot of theater in Florida, but in Atlanta 3 years ago, I started doing a lot more film and making my own. So I think you might be referring to Church Wives, which was the first Kickstarter campaign that I ran that was successful. It was actually run by the show's creator and main producer, Caroline King. But we did a lot of the work on the Kickstarter together. We hit our goal, which was great. We went to film festivals, and it was this really goofy mockumentary called Church Wives, and it was kind of like The Office style or Parks and Rec style, but it was behind the lives of like Southern church families. Yeah. So like my character was clearly in the closeted Baptist preacher who would run his sermons like they were musical numbers.
That's amazing.
And then it was all about like interviews with the wife, who was played by our creator, Caroline. We wrote it together. I directed it. And she played the wife who would like call all of the shots and like direct us, and then we had a nice competition with like other churches from the South. So there was a good, ensemble cast. It was really funny and pretty messed up.
Amazing.
Oh man!
But we won a lot of best mockumentaries. Portland, Houston, Atlanta comedy film festivals. So we did a good range of those, and then I've been putting some writing, some different features out there, getting some laurels behind it, trying to win some awards, so that way when this Second Coming of Sekhmet takes off, and people start seeing it at these different film festivals, I not only will have, here's what I've done, here's what you can help me work on next.
Sure.
And then we can, that's the whole point of those festivals, is really networking and making stuff together.
Oh, and this is just the natural progression, right? I mean, now it's time, you do all this, now make a movie, you know?
Yeah.
And it's exactly. And here's proof that we can.
Yeah, exactly. That's something really important with just...
It changes the game.
It really does, because there's a million people out there doing what, you're doing right now, and you have to stand out apart from those people, And that's
exactly.
And that's why the movie's so great. It's very original. You're not just writing, the same old script again.
And I wrote it at a very lonely time in my life, and that's why the character kind of loses it, is from being alone. And I feel like everybody's felt that. And when you watch this, you can watch it and go, oh, well, thank God it's never going to get that bad, but it's still connecting people.
Yeah.
You know?
Audacity, that's tomorrow. And when do you think, when's your, I know it's a loose thing to say, but when's your goal of making this film? When do you think it's going to happen?
So I'm looking at filming the third week of January, before the 20-something. I lose my DP, who I need. He's so amazing, but he's moving to LA to do bigger and better. But he really wanted to fit this in before. So so the good news is having a deadline means that it's going to get done.
Yeah, that does.
Right. I always work. Yeah, always work better under pressure. So we're gonna aim to shoot it third week in January, maybe the second week. But it's only gonna take about 3 or 4 days of filming. I've got everything really planned out. Luckily it's one location, so we won't have to remove or move around all the different sets or just change lighting and stuff.
Right.
A lot of pre-planning to make sure that this goes off the way that I want it to. You know what I mean?
Oh, man, it's something that I can't understand how filmmakers do, especially at large scales, is they have all their scenes planned out to shoot on different days, completely out of order, and that I can't imagine. Just all right, we need to shoot this scene, the end of the movie today, and then the beginning of the movie a week from now. It just sounds.
Yeah, we really have to do that on this one. There's so many mitigating factors that go into decisions like that. It's not just we want to shoot it out of order because we're bored. But so I need everything in say the living room area done on one day, or if I have an actress or an actor that can only be there for 1 or 2 days. Oh, and then so many other things too. This film, I was oh man, we meet him at first in a psychiatrist's office, and it's intercut with him being interrogated by a detective. Yeah. So I was oh boy, this is going to be interesting to film because I'm going to have one conversation on 3 separate days. And one of those days I might be shaving my head or something at the end. So there's going to be physical changes. So I'm not sure how we're going to match all that, but luckily pre-planning.
Yeah, I don't know.
Costuming. Those things help.
Don't do that dude from what was it, Superman did, where he went to the Mission Impossible movie. He grew out his facial hair for it, but they had to go back to do reshoots on the Superman movie. So digital mustache they had to digitize out. That's the thing you commit when you cut your hair for something like Taxi Driver or something. It's gone. You don't get to do the hair scenes anymore.
Right. No. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, I'm working with some different ideas with that, but definitely the costuming will be a big help on that and keeping things separate for the audience so they see the different timelines.
Oh, sure.
It'll make sense when it's out there. When it's all in my head right now, it just sounds kind of like a gerbil falling in its own wheel.
Dude, we get it. We live in that wheel. We understand completely what you're saying. Yeah, dude.
That's the artist mindset.
Exactly.
For sure.
Anything else you want to say before we wrap up? Anything about the film? Anything you want to say about it?
No, just follow us on Instagram and Facebook, Sekhmet Film, or at Sekhmet Film. If you guys want to post any pictures or anything, or if you want to make donations, give us a shout out. We're very interactive with our backers. We don't want it just to be a donation. We want you to be a part of this movie making process. It's really fun, exciting, and we'll keep you updated with everything as we go through casting, as we go through filming and post-production.
Dude, you got the right attitude, and
awesome.
And from personal experience, knowing you, this is going to get done, and I can't wait, man. It's going to be awesome.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that.
Kyle, thank you for being on the show, man. I really appreciate you taking the time and just talking to us, man. We never get to do interviews like this.
No problem, you guys. My pleasure.
All right. Well, this is it for Long Album Cuts, everybody. Peace out.
Thank you, guys.
That's right.